U.S. Air Force officer who touched UFO in Rendlesham Forest in the UK, says they encountered beings from the future. That's a pretty wild claim, obviously. When it comes to UFO sightings, the Rendlesham Forest incident is without a doubt one of the strangest cases in the history of ufology. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt and Deputy Commander of the U.S. Air Force Base received some information about strange sightings near the twin NATO air bases of RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters in December 1980. Airman First Class John Burroughs reported a UFO sighting December 26, 1980. Early in the morning, it included hazy descriptions of strange supernatural lights, glittering triangular spaceships, and scorched footprints on the ground. The Rendlesham Forest UFO encounter resulted in several direct observations, audio recordings, reports, and ongoing testimony, and as a result, a popular phenomenon has emerged, bringing UFO enthusiasts back to this forest for new encounters. However, with so many different angles and perspectives on the story, it has yet to be determined what exactly occurred. This sequence of events took place between December 26 and 28, 1980. A mysterious flying object flew at such amazing speeds that it defied physics. Furthermore, despite its incredible speed, the UFO made no noise. Later, a round-shaped prints were found on the ground, clearly from a heavy object, which were at a distance of about 3 meters from each other, about 10 feet. Burns were also seen near the grooves on the ground. When soldiers were sent on December 28 for a more thorough study of the area, they noted an excess of radiation, and at this time a UFO reappeared. It flew by with incredible speed, illuminating everything around with bright red lights. The light emanating from the ship was so strong that the sensors of the night sights burnt out, and the lights continued to hover and shine over the forest and field for some time. The incident has two main victims, Staff Sergeant Jim Penniston and Airman John Burroughs, who claimed to have witnessed the landing of a triangular-shaped UFO in the forest. In season 1810 of History Channel's Ancient Aliens, a major witness to the incident, former U.S. Air Force Sergeant Penniston, claims he has evidence the visitors were not extraterrestrials. They were us, he said. Previously, he stated that he had been so close to the craft that he managed to touch it. He described the touch as smooth, and there were ancient hieroglyph signs on the craft that looked similar to ancient Egyptian letters, he said. He believes the visitors were future time travelers on a mission to try and fix or correct something heinous that had occurred in Earth's past. Penniston and other witnesses to this unique meeting reported having catastrophic nightmares as a result of the occurrence. Despite the numerous witnesses and their statements, skeptics believe the incident was a hoax, a misidentification of a secret terrestrial aircraft, or simply a light from a nearby lighthouse. When Penniston touched the craft, he said that he felt a strange download of information to his mind, and he felt compelled the next day to write down a series of zeros and ones, which we now regard as binary code. Years later, a computer programmer took this information, ran it through a translation program, and a message emerged. The message read, "Exploration of humanity continuous for planetary advance, eyes of your eyes, origin year 8100. When one sees the origin year 8100, one is forced to speculate that we might be looking not just at extraterrestrials, but time travelers from the future," said Nick Pope, a former Ministry of Defense official of the UK. The most ignored part of the incident was the weird time distortion. Interestingly, a video footage was published in 2018 by the British tabloid newspaper The Sun, where retired Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt can be heard saying that John Burroughs, quote, may have been abducted, end quote, and that the men were unaccounted for hours. The video was reportedly taken in 2010 when Halt and retired British Police Detective Gary Heselton returned to Rendlesham Forest for a documentary that was never completed. Heseltine's wife captured the footage while the two were discussing the UFO incident during a break. Holt said he, Burroughs, might have been abducted, who knows? You know, there is lost time, we know that. They were not on the radio. You've got men out in the forest that you can't unaccounted for hours. According to the men, time seemed as though it slowed and it was difficult to move. Another odd characteristic was everything was void of sound. Burroughs confirmed that the missing time and exact figure, the fact is our watches were behind, and the shift commander said we were missing for 45 minutes. There were some formalities to go through. Weapons had to be returned and signed for, and hurried debriefing, the first of many, was carried out. Though they did not realize it at the time, dozens of other military personnel at the twin bases had seen the strange lights and had been watching from a number of vantage points, including the control tower at Bentwaters. Everyone wanted to know what had happened to Penniston and Burroughs, but for them, the immediate aftermath of their encounter was a blur. There's another mystery to the case explained by author Chet Dembeck, an individual whose name was censored, asked the British Ministry of Defence MOD for verification of a detailed statement made by one of the supposed military officers who responded to the Rendlesham Forest UFO encounter. And according to the reported account, the unidentified military personnel was one among those called to the incident area shortly after the craft landed and witnessed the strangeness. Dembeck writes, as he and his fellow airmen approached the craft, which bathed the area in bright yellow light, the unnamed witness noticed that their shadows were out of sync with their actual movements that were being cast on the UFO that resembled a transparent giant aspirin. Not only did their shadows bend upwards at the head, but as they walked and stopped, the shadows would appear to advance one more pace and stop. Stunned and disbelieved of this effect, the airmen and others walked and stopped several times, and each time noticed the effect repeat itself. Additionally, the third time that they tried this, a light came over the head of the shadow and moved from one head to the other. According to Dembeck, there is no further reporting on this Ministry of Defense inquiry, but the author believes this time distortion explanation lends further weight to this incident. Even though the U.S. Air Force has always denied any UFO landing in the Rendlesham Forest, Burroughs shared the shocking news about his health. He said that he had been subjected to a high amount of radiation during the investigations of the mysterious craft on 3 consecutive nights in December 1980. The U.S. military classified Burroughs' medical records, so neither him nor his lawyer were able to get them. Even the U.S. Air Force denied that he had been working with them during the time of the incident, as claimed by Burroughs. Somehow they got a document from the British Ministry of Defence which wrote that the site had a high level of radiation during the UFO incident. Finally, after decades, the U.S. Veterans Association and Department of Defense agreed to pay for his treatment. Besides, in the radiation document, the U.S. military acknowledged the unexplained aerial phenomena that occurred at the site and caused a physical injury to Burroughs. This is on How and Wise by Vicky Verma. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.